Have you ever wondered if your spiritual beliefs and your financial decisions are in harmony? Can you truly serve both God and money? What if I told you that the ancient wisdom of the Bible holds the key to not just financial success, but also to a life of purpose and fulfillment? Pause for a moment and consider this. What if the way you handle your money could actually deepen your relationship with God? Hello, dear friends. Welcome to our channel. Today, we're going to explore a fascinating topic: how the timeless wisdom of the Bible can guide us in our financial decisions and help us achieve true prosperity, both materially and spiritually. Before we dive into this topic, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Your participation helps us spread this transformative message to more people. Let's get started. In a world where materialism often seems to reign supreme, where the pursuit of wealth can easily overshadow our spiritual values, it's crucial to find a balance. But how do we do that? How can we navigate the complex world of finance while staying true to our faith? That's exactly what we're going to uncover in the next 20 minutes. We'll delve deep into what the Bible really says about money and spirituality. We'll explore practical ways to align our financial lives with our spiritual values. And most importantly, we'll discover how this alignment can lead to a more fulfilling, purposeful, and abundant life. So whether you're struggling to make ends meet, trying to figure out how to use your wealth in a way that honors God, or simply curious about the intersection of faith and finances, this video is for you. Get ready for some eye-opening insights that could change the way you think about money forever. Let's start by examining what the Bible actually says about money and spirituality. It's a topic that's mentioned over 2,000 times in Scripture, which tells us that God considers it incredibly important. But why? What does the Creator of the universe have to say about our bank accounts and spending habits? One of the most well-known passages about money comes from Matthew 6:24, where Jesus says, "No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." This verse is often misinterpreted as meaning that money itself is evil, but that's not the case at all. What Jesus is warning against is the love of money, the idolatry of wealth. Think about it. When we make money our master, when we allow the pursuit of wealth to dictate our decisions and priorities, we're essentially putting it in God's place. We're serving a false god, one that promises security and happiness, but can never truly deliver. Money is meant to be a tool, not a master. It's meant to serve us as we serve God, not the other way around. But the Bible doesn't just warn us about the dangers of loving money too much, it also gives us positive guidance on how to view and use our financial resources. In 1 Timothy 6:17-19 we read, "Command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant, nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God, who richly provides us with everything for our enjoyment. Command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. In this way, they will lay up treasure for themselves as a firm foundation for the coming age, so that they may take hold of the life that is truly life." This passage is packed with wisdom. First, it reminds us that true security doesn't come from wealth, which can be lost in an instant. Instead, our hope should be in God, the ultimate source of all provision. Second, it gives us a blueprint for how to use our resources, to do good, to be generous, to share. And finally, it promises that this approach to money will lead to life that is truly life, a life of meaning, purpose, and eternal significance. Another key principle we find in Scripture is the concept of stewardship. In the parable of the talents in Matthew 25:14-30, Jesus tells a story about a master who entrusts his servants with different amounts of money. The servants who invest and multiply the money are praised, while the one who buries it out of fear is rebuked. This parable teaches us that God expects us to be good stewards of the resources He's given us. We're not meant to hoard our wealth out of fear or selfishness, but to use it wisely and productively. Proverbs 3:9-10 gives us another important principle. "Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine." This verse introduces the concept of giving back to God from our wealth, often referred to as tithing. It's a practice that acknowledges that everything we have ultimately comes from God, and that we trust Him to provide for our needs. But what about the pursuit of wealth itself? Is it wrong to want to be financially successful? Proverbs 10:4 says, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." This verse, along with many others in Proverbs, suggests that hard work and diligence in our financial endeavors are actually virtues. The problem isn't in working hard or being successful. It's in making those things the ultimate goal of our lives. As we can see, the Bible's teaching on money and spirituality is nuanced and balanced. It warns us about the dangers of loving money too much, but it also encourages us to be diligent, generous, and wise with our resources. It reminds us that everything we have comes from God, and that we're called to be good stewards of those resources. But how do we apply these principles in our daily lives? How do we strike that delicate balance between managing our finances responsibly and keeping our spiritual priorities in order? That's what we're going to explore next. Finding balance between our financial lives and our spiritual lives can sometimes feel like walking a tightrope. On one side, we have the practical realities of living in a world where money is necessary for survival and comfort. On the other side, we have our spiritual values and the desire to live a life that honors God. How do we keep from falling off this tightrope? The key lies in understanding that our financial lives and our spiritual lives are not separate entities. They're deeply interconnected, and when we align them properly, they can actually reinforce and strengthen each other. Let's explore some practical ways to achieve this alignment. First and foremost, we need to cultivate a mindset of stewardship. Remember the parable of the talents we discussed earlier? It teaches us that everything we have, our money, our possessions, our skills, even our time, is ultimately a gift from God. We're not the owners, but the managers of these resources. This shift in perspective can be transformative. Instead of asking, "How can I get more?" we start asking, "How can I best use what I've been given?" This mindset of stewardship leads naturally to the practice of budgeting. Yes, budgeting. It might sound like a purely financial activity, but it's actually a deeply spiritual practice. When we create a budget, we're making intentional decisions about how to allocate our resources. We're saying, "This is what's important to me. This is how I choose to use what God has entrusted to me." A budget that reflects your spiritual values might include categories for giving, for saving, remember the ant in Proverbs 6, 8, and for meeting the needs of your family and community. Speaking of giving, let's talk about the practice of tithing. Tithing, which traditionally means giving 10% of your income to your church or to charity, is a concrete way of acknowledging God's provision and putting Him first in your finances. It's not about earning God's favor, that's already freely given through Christ. Instead, it's about trust, gratitude, and aligning our hearts with God's priorities. But tithing isn't the only way to practice generosity. The Bible encourages us to be generous in all aspects of life. This could mean giving your time to help a neighbor, using your skills to support a worthy cause, or being ready to meet needs as they arise in your community. Remember, Jesus said, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." Acts 20:35. When we cultivate a spirit of generosity, we're not just blessing others, we're also enriching our own lives and growing spiritually. Another important aspect of balancing finances and spirituality is contentment. In Philippians 4:11-13, Paul writes, "I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through Him who gives me strength." Contentment doesn't mean we never strive to improve our circumstances. Rather, it means finding peace and satisfaction in God, regardless of our financial situation. Practicing contentment can actually lead to financial benefits. When we're content, we're less likely to engage in impulse spending or to try to keep up with the Joneses. We're more likely to make wise financial decisions because we're not driven by a constant need for more. This, in turn, can lead to greater financial stability and freedom. Another crucial practice in balancing finances and spirituality is seeking wisdom. Proverbs 15:22 says, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed." This applies to our financial decisions as much as to any other area of life. Seek advice from those who are both financially savvy and spiritually mature. This could be a financial advisor who shares your faith values, a mentor in your church, or simply wise friends who have successfully navigated their own financial journeys. It's also important to regularly examine our motivations when it comes to money. Are we pursuing financial success out of greed, fear, or a desire for status? Or are we working diligently as an act of worship to provide for our families and to have more to give? Regular self-reflection and prayer can help us keep our motivations in check and our priorities aligned with our faith. Remember, too, that our approach to money can be a powerful testimony to others. When people see us living generously, making ethical financial decisions, and finding contentment regardless of our circumstances, it can spark curiosity and open doors for conversations about faith. As we strive to balance our financial and spiritual lives, it's crucial to remember that this is a journey, not a destination. We'll make mistakes along the way, and that's okay. The important thing is to keep learning, growing, and aligning our lives more closely with God's principles. Now that we've explored some practical ways to balance our financial and spiritual lives, let's consider the impact this balance can have, both on our own lives and on the world around us. When we align our finances with our spiritual values, we often experience a profound sense of peace and purpose. There's a freedom that comes from knowing that our resources are being used in a way that honors God and serves others. This alignment can reduce financial stress and anxiety as we trust in God's provision and guidance. Moreover, this balance can lead to a deeper, more authentic spiritual life. When our use of money aligns with our professed beliefs, we're living with integrity. This consistency between our words and actions can strengthen our faith and deepen our relationship with God. But the impact of this financial spiritual balance extends far beyond our personal lives. When we live generously and make ethical financial decisions, we have the power to positively impact our communities and even the world at large. Consider the ripple effect of generosity. When we give to those in need, we're not just meeting immediate physical needs. We're also showing God's love in a tangible way. This can open hearts to the message of the gospel and draw people closer to God. Our generosity can inspire others to give as well, creating a cycle of blessing that extends far beyond our initial gift. Ethical financial decisions can also have a wide-reaching impact. When we choose to invest in companies that align with our values, or when we decide to boycott businesses that engage in unethical practices, we're using our financial power to shape the world around us. We're saying, this is the kind of world we want to live in, and we're willing to put our money where our mouth is. Moreover, when we manage our finances wisely and avoid debt, we're better positioned to respond to needs and opportunities as they arise. We can be ready to help a friend in crisis, support a missionary, or contribute to a worthy cause without being held back by financial constraints. The impact of financial spiritual balance can also be seen in our families. When we model wise stewardship and generosity for our children, we're passing on values that can shape their entire lives. We're teaching them that money is a tool to be used for good, not an idol to be worshipped. This legacy of financial wisdom and spiritual integrity can impact generations to come. In our workplaces too, this balance can have a powerful effect. When we approach our work as an act of service to God and others, rather than just a means to earn money, it can transform our attitude and our performance. This can lead to greater job satisfaction, better relationships with colleagues, and even opportunities to share our faith. But perhaps one of the most significant impacts of aligning our finances with our spiritual values is the witness it provides to a watching world. In a culture that often equates success with wealth and encourages rampant consumerism, a life of contentment, generosity, and wise stewardship stands out. It raises questions and challenges assumptions. It demonstrates that there's a different way to live, a way that leads to true fulfillment and purpose. This doesn't mean that living out these principles is always easy. In fact, it often involves sacrifice and going against the cultural grain. It might mean choosing to live below your means so you can give more generously. It might mean turning down a lucrative job offer because the company's practices don't align with your values. It might mean being content with less so that others can have enough. But here's the beautiful paradox. When we're willing to hold our material possessions loosely, when we prioritize giving over getting, when we seek first God's kingdom rather than earthly wealth, we often find that we gain so much more than we give up. We gain peace, purpose, and a sense of partnership with God in His work in the world. As we wrap up our exploration of money and spirituality, let's take a moment to reflect on the journey we've been on. We started by examining what the Bible says about money and spirituality, uncovering a balanced perspective that neither demonizes wealth nor glorifies it. We explored practical ways to align our financial lives with our spiritual values, from budgeting and tithing to practicing contentment and seeking wisdom. And we've considered the profound impact that this alignment can have on our lives and the world around us. So, where do we go from here? How do we take these principles and put them into practice in our daily lives? First, I encourage you to take some time for honest self-reflection. How does your current approach to money align with your spiritual values? Are there areas where you need to make changes? Remember, this isn't about guilt or shame. It's about growth and alignment. Next, consider creating a spiritual financial plan. This isn't just a budget, although that's part of it, but a comprehensive plan that outlines how you intend to use your resources in a way that honors God and aligns with your values. This might include setting giving goals, identifying areas where you can practice better stewardship, or planning for how you can use your skills and resources to serve others. I also encourage you to seek out a community of like-minded individuals who are also striving to align their finances with their faith. This could be a small group at your church, a financial peace class, or even an online community. Having support and accountability can make a huge difference as you navigate this journey. Remember, too, that this is a lifelong journey. You won't get everything perfect right away, and that's okay. The important thing is to keep moving forward, learning from your mistakes, and continually seeking to align your life more closely with God's principles. As we close, I want to leave you with a challenge. Choose one area we've discussed today and commit to taking action on it this week. Maybe it's creating a budget that reflects your values. Maybe it's setting up a recurring donation to a cause you care about. Maybe it's having a conversation with your family about how you can be more generous together. Whatever it is, take that first step. And as you do, remember this. When we align our finances with our faith, we're not just managing money. We're participating in God's work in the world. We're using the resources He's entrusted to us to bring more of His love, justice, and redemption into the world. And there's no investment that could possibly yield a greater return than that. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of money and spirituality. I hope you found it enlightening and inspiring. If you have, please consider sharing this video with others who might benefit from it. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content that explores the intersection of faith and everyday life. Before we end, I'd love to hear from you. How do you integrate your finances with your spiritual life? What challenges have you faced, and what victories have you experienced? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights could be just what someone else needs to hear. Remember, true prosperity isn't just about the balance in your bank account. It's about the richness of your relationship with God and the impact you're making in the world. So go forth, be wise stewards, live generously, and watch how God can use your faithfulness to change lives, including your own. Until next time, may you experience the joy of aligning your finances with your faith, and may you know the peace that comes from trusting in God's provision. God bless you all, and we'll see you in our next video.